Let's make some scallops on this channel. I haven't made these yet. I haven't made scallops for myself in a long time, but these are just some beautiful diver scallops. I'm going to do 4 of them for a serving here. We're going to make a beautiful shallot sauce. It's going to be a little creamy. So first, we're going to take 1 whole shallot. We're going to cut it up into a fairly nice dice. This is going to be somewhat strained, so you don't really need to worry about the pieces of the shallot being too large, too small. It doesn't play a whole lot in this recipe, so just dice them up as best as you can. Some of these scallops, since they're very fresh, still have that extra little piece of muscle on the side of them. I just peel that off. It makes it a little easier to cook, and then I'm going to give them a nice rinse because they're a little slimy. They're very fresh, and I'm just going to then pop them on a paper towel to dry them off. I also salt and pepper these lightly with white pepper. I don't show that on camera, but it happens off camera. Salt and pepper them, both sides. Now we're going to get the shallots cooking down. So grab any pan you like to use, throw some oil in, and then we're going to throw in those shallots. It doesn't need to be piping hot yet. Hot enough is good enough. I know I always rush that a bit, but you can see they're almost immediately sizzling, which is nice. We're going to get them to slightly cook, maybe a minute or 2, and then we are going to add half a cup of the white wine of your choice. The goal here is to fully cook out the white wine. You want all of the flavor to be left over in the shallot and cook that wine down completely. While that's happening, we're going to slice up a little bit of green onion. Some people like to use chives at the end of this dish. I like green onion. Use chives if that's your thing, absolutely. Take those, put them to the side. We're not going to need that till the very end of this dish. And then we are also going to get some lime zest, which we need for the end as well. We're also going to put a little lime juice into the sauce. I'm terrible at zesting, as you can see. For some reason, limes, I guess it's the skin color. You could tell how much worse you are than with a lemon. I'm going to now cut this guy in half. We're going to squeeze a little bit into the sauce shortly. First, we're going to let this wine continue to cook down. As you can see, 90% of it is gone at this point. Just let that little extra bit continue to cook out. Once that is fully cooked out, I'm fairly happy with this. This is like 30 seconds away. I'm going to squeeze in, not a specific amount, maybe half of a lime, a quarter of this lime juice. Throw that into your sauce and let that kind of steep into the flavor of the shallot. Once you're happy with the wine being gone, half a cup of cream. We're going to cook that down, reduce it by about half, to the point where it almost looks a little clumpy. We're going to add in a little bit of parsley at this point too. I've seen people add in tarragon. That's totally fine. Parsley I just have around the house, and it's going to do a fairly similar overall flavor, texture, and profile. This is where we're looking for texture-wise with the sauce before we add in some butter. It does look chunky. That's fine. It's going to be strained. Put in, it's about 2 tablespoons worth of butter here. Mix that all up. You could do less if you want. This isn't the best sauce I've made of this version. I've definitely had it come out a little more less buttery, but that's besides the point. It's still perfect. Throw it into a sieve of your choice and just push through that sauce. That's absolutely delicious. We will use some of the leftover pieces of what we're taking out of the sauce at the end. But see, it's not separated. It's beautiful. It almost looks like a hollandaise, but it's not. Kind of is in a sense. No eggs though. Next, we're going to cook those scallops. I'm going to use my cast iron here, carbon steel, and we're going to put in a neutral oil, not olive oil, because you have to get this ripping hot. You can see it's nice and shimmery there, which is exactly what we're looking for. And at that point, you could add in your scallops. You want to hear them sizzle right off the bat. That's the goal. These are going to cook for about 1 to 2 minutes per this first side, and then a little longer on the second side because we're going to turn the heat down and baste them. If they look like they're drooping, that's totally fine. It makes it look like the bigger. You do want to place bigger side down first. That made it look like it wasn't the bigger side, but when you stand them up on themselves, you can tell they like to kind of droop over like that when they hit heat. After about a minute, I'm checking to see the level of browning because my stove slants a little bit and the oil goes to that one side. So normally you want to take these out in the same pattern that you put them down in, but I could tell these further back ones are browning at a higher rate. So just know your stove and know how it cooks. Normally this is not how a chef would do this on a nice, beautiful stove that's completely even, but I can tell which ones are browning at a higher rate. Just keep an eye on them. I'm going to move that one back into the oil since it was browning the least, and that's what we're looking for. Flip them at that point, Beautiful crust, not even the slightest bit burnt. So great looking. And at this point, I know I say at this point a lot, noted. We're going to add butter. We're going to turn the heat off completely. We're going to add in a tablespoon or two of butter, and we're going to baste these like a steak. Just get that flavor going. This is also slowly cooking the bottom. We have turned the heat off. We're just letting them do their thing at this point. But baste, baste, baste. Delicious, delicious buttery flavor will impart over these scallops, which are already a beautiful texture to begin with. But the butter just goes such a long way in the flavor profile here. Let's plate this up. I'm going to try to be chef-like. I know I'm not. This was a terrible attempt at this. Not terrible. I'm actually pleasantly surprised at how it came out. But I know this is not top-tier restaurant worthy. But I didn't want to just plop the sauce on the plate. Each spot where we're going to put down a scallop, we're going to put down some shallot. That way we're not wasting those, and they'll add a little extra crunch and yum into the dish. And then now place those scallops down right on top of the little shallot spots. On top of that, we're also going to come in now, and this is when we add some of the other yummies. We're going to put down a little bit of lime zest on top of these scallops. It's so nice. Lime and scallop are a delicious flavor profile together, especially sushi. Lay down some of the green onions. I'm going to put a drop of lime on each one, not a ton. If you want more, do it, but I don't necessarily need that. And you're done. Absolutely stunning dish. Comes together in 10-15 minutes. Try it.